I've officially given up any hope we had of a playoff push. The rest of this season is all about figuring out if this new 4-3-3 is a tactic for us, and then getting ready to say goodbye to some of these higher paid players so we can have a proper promotion push with a proper squad of players next year. It's going to be a sad, sad day. Hello and welcome to part 44 of Backing the Boro. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we're away against Wrexham and then at home against Boreham Wood, both in the National League. Since you were last with me, we had a bit of a wobble, but then we've come back to some decent form again. Undefeated in 3 games, won 2 of them. Livesey Mason isn't in the same kind of form he was in before. He's still our top scorer, but has slowed down a little bit. Sedwin Scott, though, finally properly fit again, back in the team. Not even in double figures for goals for the season yet, though. And he is one of those people I was talking about in the intro there. He's still got a year left on his contract, but at nearly £3,000 a week in the conference and giving us a goal return in single figures, this is probably going to be the last little run of games for Sedwin Scott. He's been so important for the last couple of years, but we can't afford to keep him. Our financial situation is horrific. The board have stopped pumping in the money. You can see all these little board injections that we had over the course of the first 4 or 5 seasons, and they've just stopped. And it's going down, 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 down. And I imagine our wage budget is going to get slashed for next season because they've been so generous every year since we started. And we just can't afford to keep passengers, and at the moment, that's what Sedwin Scott is. He's a passenger. So, what we need from him is 10 goals in his last 7 games, so we can sell him for 300,000 in the summer to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I might be hoping for a bit too much there, but I'm playing him because I want to be able to sell him. So I need him to play well and attract some interest. Realistically, we're probably going to be selling the likes of Boro and Laskowski, who are our young, exciting players who've got bags of potential. They're wanted by clubs at higher levels. We can bring money in for them, and I think we're going to have to. It's going to be a massive rebuilding summer. And Ted Can's injured as well. Our young keeper is out for the rest of the season with a dislocated shoulder. Apparently, you need shoulders to play in goal. So, Guthrie returns in goal for us today. And we've got a back four of Anderson, Stone, Laskowski and Moore, with Kaduba in behind Elliott and Hurd. And then Scott flanked by Borrell and Philiskirk. We have got Omar and Mason on the bench. And we've even got Elijah Adebayo, who's another one who's on nearly £3,000 a week. He's the defender we signed last year. He has played 2 whole substitute appearances for us now, and he's on the bench for the same reason Sedwin Scott is in the team. I want people to realise he exists. He's under contract just like Scott until the end of next season, so for those 2 players we've got another season of £6,000 a week going out on 2 players, and we are a non-league team in financial trouble, and we need to fix all of that. I will not accept that I'm bankrupting this club, because as you saw from the budget screen, I am working within the budgets that I'm being set. It's not my fault. The board are incompetent and have set me budgets consistently all the way through, much higher than they need to set. We saw when we were in the National League North, and we had £15,000 a week. And then when I managed Alfreton in non-league to legend, I had about £4,000 a week. There was no reason why Nuneaton should have that much more. Oh, look at that. It's a lovely finish from Scott. He wants me to sell him. But there was no reason why we should have had so much more money than equivalent clubs. It was just madness. It's a gamble that hasn't paid off. We're basically the Leeds of non-league, and I mean Leeds from when I still was aware of what happened in football. We've gambled a lot of money on success that hadn't occurred yet. We haven't had the success, and now we've got major, major financial problems to contend with. But just like at Leeds, everyone blamed the board. Here at Nuneaton, blame the board. Kev's great. It's going to add an extra dimension to the save. Scott forces a good save out of their keeper. But having to work in... You've never really seen me work under serious financial pressure, because normally when a club gets in this state, I jump ship and go somewhere else. So I don't really know how I'm going to handle these kind of financial issues, because like I've said a few times in this save, I've never done one of these road to glory, take a small team all the way to the top series before, or saves before really. The closest I've ever got was the Bolton battle on FM18, but even with that, and that's because Bolton were relegated down into non-league. I didn't consider going from the Championship to the Premier League as a road to glory. But That's a nice little free kick from Scott. But Bolton were a little bit different because obviously they're Bolton. They have a massive ground, a large fan base. Money was never an issue with that Bolton team. Nuneaton, we could still have our highest ever league finish in the history of the football club this season. So you could argue, on the one hand, we are getting the success that we wanted. We're doing better than we ever have before. But we obviously need to force it that little bit further. And I have no idea how we get this team in the Football League without bankrupting them. Or even if getting in the league will stop us from going bankrupt. I don't know what happens when we run out of money. I guess board takeover. Can I take over? Can I get my manager from non-league to legend, who's presumably a millionaire at this point? Can I get him to come in and act as chair? I could get him to come in as chairman. If only I had the in-game editor turned on, I could do that. Mental note, always have the in-game editor turned on. Then I can do fun things like that. Right, we've just fouled their player and they've got a free kick, but we don't even get to see it, so they obviously completely wasted it, which is fine by me. I'm not going to say this next sentence until I see whether they score here. Right, they didn't score here. I am cautiously aware that there's only a 6-point gap between us and the playoffs. Now, I know there's also only 6 games left, so it's incredibly unlikely that we force our way up into that playoff picture. But for as long as we're winning games and it's mathematically possible, I can't help but think that'd be handy. That'd go down nicely. Boro with the cross and it's kicked away. Kicked away. I mean, that's good commentary. Hurd to, who was that, Phyllis Kirk? And forces a save out of their keeper again. I'm starting to think in terms of substitutions. Phyllis Kirk's not having the best of games, and Omar can certainly come on into that position where he's had some good form recently. He's scored a few goals from out on this right wing in recent games. And I'm going to bring on Adebayo, and you're going to have a look at Elijah Adebayo. And the whole world is going to have a look at Elijah Adebayo. I am going to bring Mason on in like 2 minutes as well for Scott because... Oh, that's the wrong button. Although Scott scored, it's pretty much all he's done today. So let's get Mason on. Change him to advanced forward on attack. And that can be our third and final change. And hopefully the combination of Omar and Mason up there can lead to goals again. There's Mason. And did that clip off the crossbar? I'm not sure. Adebayo, not done anything spectacularly awful yet. He looks composed as well. I just think he is composed. He's been here a year and a half on £2,500 a week. He's probably loving life. What's this? I remember when I used to have to play football. Oh, I bet he's panting a little bit at this point. Right, Mason can't quite get onto the end of it, but Elliott hits it forward again, and Mason is there. And the Mason of 5 games ago scores there. Today he doesn't, but hopefully it's not going to be an issue because we've just got to hold on for these last 2 minutes. Boro, he's fouled in the area. Surely he's not, but he finds Hurd, who forces another save out of their keeper. It would be devastating for us to concede a goal at this point. We've absolutely dominated this game. Look at the state of these stats, and we're only 1-0 up. I don't understand why the team, with the firepower that we've got, I don't understand why we don't score far more goals than we do. We create so many chances, and we've got strikers that can be so good on their day, and here comes the equaliser. That is disgusting. That's just nasty that has happened. There goes any hopes of the playoffs. I mean, it's just so dirty, and I can already hear the chorus of, Kev, why didn't you go defensive? Because you've seen why. You've seen why so many times. Whenever I go defensive, that happens a little bit sooner. I think the real mistake there was bringing on Adebayo. Yeah, I'm going to get some stick for that. Right, let's go and grab another goal. Let's go and win this game with a last minute Mason spectacular. Borrell is in behind and Mason is in the middle. It finds Omar. I thought Omar had scored. I don't know how he missed there, really. 5 clear-cut chances, 5 half chances. We've scored 1 goal. The problem is with our strikers, surely. There's so many chances being created for them, and they're just not finishing. Have we got time for one more? I don't think we have. And that was a poor ball forward anyway. And this has been rubbish. Wrexham are above us in the league, but they wouldn't have been if we'd have beaten them. And we've dominated the game. We shouldn't have been in this situation where 1 goal from them would have been enough. They're going to go and score a winner here, and I'm going to vomit all over my keyboard. It's going to be horrible. Ugh. 1-1. Not a fair result at all. We should have won that game. That was dirty. Right, just the one change then for the Boreham Wood game. Omar comes in for Phyllis Kirk because Phyllis Kirk was rubbish, and Omar has played reasonably well recently. I've also taken Adebayo off of the bench and brought Frank Earl onto the bench, who has been working with Lionel Stone, and we may as well give him some game time. Got to get some of the youngsters more involved at this point. I'm just still very annoyed about what happened in that last game. And I'm blaming Adebayo for it. It's completely his fault. Even though he wasn't even involved in the goal, I don't think. It is officially completely his fault. Hopefully, we'll go and win this game and cheer me up a little bit. The chances of us getting anywhere near the playoffs now are all but gone. After this, it'll be 5 games left, and we're currently 8 points away. Boreham Wood are actually above us in the league as well. And now Laskowski's injured. So we're going to see Frank Earl really early on. Well, at least he's playing alongside the guy who's been tutoring him for the last 3 or 4 months. So hopefully they'll have a good partnership and understanding between them already. But we'll find out if Frank Earl's any good. Because realistically, he might be playing for us next year. Because presumably Laskowski's going to be leaving. And we might not be able to afford to bring in anybody else. The board did just pour £350,000 into the club after me moaning that they weren't doing that anymore. And we're still nearly £500,000 overdrawn. So unless they've got lots of these £350,000 cheques to throw our way, it isn't looking good for the financial future of the club for as long as we are stuck down at this level. We just need a bunch of people to go out and buy season tickets over the summer and shirts. Perhaps we need to gamble on our future again and sign a former Premier League star who's going to force some shirt sales through. We have dominated this game so far and once again done nothing. Considering Sedwin Scott might just be the highest paid striker in this division, and he's not converting the chances that are being created for him. I'd like to move him on. I don't know if anyone's going to take him. We need to find another youngster, similar to him when he first came in. Another youngster, eager to impress, but then when he asks for his big money contract increase, sell him at that point. Stop giving people more money than we can afford to pay them. We might have to put a proper wage policy in place. Ignore the budgets were set by the board. The board are clearly incompetent. We need to take control of this ourselves. I can hear the cheer from the comments. You've been telling me to do that for 2 years. Right. Let's get Scott off. He's just been useless again. Mason can come on. See if he can be any less useless. And we might make another change in a minute. Although neither Cowans or Abrazazi are game-changing attacking players. So I don't know if we'll bother. We'll perhaps take Kaduba off and bring Cowans on. Just because Kaduba's there on a yellow card. We will make that change. You going to let me do that? There we go. Just swap those two over. Just to avoid getting Kaduba sent off. And it'd be nice to grab a goal. Right, here's Borrell. Finds Hurd. Back to Cowans. Mason plays it over the top to Omar. He has lots of space to run into, but no one to cross to. Although Borrell has made it there. Tucks it back to Cowans. Falls to Borrell again. It's pinball in there, but it bounced back off the inside of the post from Omar. Somehow didn't cross line. It hit the inside of the post and just dribbled across the line, and no one got a toe onto the end of it. Because again, I don't know where Mason is while all this is going on. I know he was behind the move, but he should have been there to tuck that rebound from Omar away. And it's just frustration in both of these games we've played today of we've dominated them, we should have won them, and we're not going to win either of them. Mason misses. Oh, he scores the rebound. Finally, we're going to win a game. And, it doesn't really matter at this point because we're so far away from the playoff picture. But it is officially, mathematically still alive. So I guess we have to keep hoping. And, if only I had a reputation for getting into these things via the back door. So it's not over yet, I don't think. Where's the league table? 58 points. Eastleigh, to be fair, it's only a 5-point gap. I know Eastleigh have got a game in hand on us, and above them to Boston, it's a massive gap. It's another 9-point gap. So we'd need Eastleigh to lose their game in hand. But if they lose their game in hand, it is only a 5-point gap. But there are 6 teams between us and them. So we're relying on a lot more than just Eastleigh letting us charge past them. So being in the bottom half of the table with 5 games to go and ending up in the playoffs would be a bit harsh on everybody else. But it's mathematically still possible, and it might even be by tomorrow's episode still, depending on how things go. Oh, imagine the excitement if we can still do it this time tomorrow. Right, if you have enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.